Hello everyone, it's now time to have a look at the second non-working chainsaw that was given to me for free. The first one was a Carburetor, and this one is a Sandrigarden. Before I even start, I'm just going to make sure that there is a spark. And when testing the spark plug, I've got this really nice little crocodile clip which I just clamp around the spark plug, and then I rest the back of it against that piece of metal over there. And now the lights are off and it's dark, and I'm just going to see if I can see a spark. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off this cover and then the bar and the chain. It's never a good sign when you pick up a chainsaw and you see oil underneath. So now I'm just going to take the carry bar off. There are 2 screws there and 2 underneath. Now I'm going to be taking off the cover for the starter rope. It looks like there's just 4 screws, one on top over there. Now the cover should come off quite easily. The next thing is this top cover. There's a little plastic piece here that leads to the throttle adjustment, and for some reason the choke button doesn't seem to stay out. It jumps back in again. So anyway, I'm going to disengage the choke before I take the cover off. So now I'm going to be taking out the carburetor. I see 1 screw down there, and then there are 2 screws that go right into the body. So now I can take the air filter mount off. Just the fuel pipe was holding it in place, and now it should come. Disengage it from the throttle linkage. I think somebody has in the past definitely doctored this. You can see it with a little piece of wire on it. I've got to take the spark plug out and then put in a piece of rope which will block the piston from going up and down. This has got a reverse thread on it, and normally there's the word off and a little arrow pointing clockwise, and there is a special tool for this to take it off, but normally I can get by with just giving it a little whack. There's a little bearing here as well, and underneath this plastic or nylon gear there is usually a little washer. So now at this stage I'm going to take the carburetor apart and clean everything up inside. Okay, the 4 screws are out, the plate comes off. I'm not even going to try and take this gasket off because there is a very narrow, very thin little wall thickness on this gasket, and I know if I take it off it's going to break. So I'm just going to take the valve out here. So that little screw head is so messed up. I'll try and take a close-up photo to show you, but in the meantime I have managed to loosen it. And the main thing is, when you do take that screw out, you have got to put your finger on that lever over there, because there's a spring underneath and everything will jump out. And then remove your finger very slowly and it releases the spring. I'm now going to take the plate off on the other side. This is the side where the fuel goes in, so obviously you're going to have a fuel filter here. It looks quite clean, but I'm just going to use a little sharp pin to take it out. And when reassembling, you'll notice on this side there is a diaphragm, and there's a little gasket on the other side. So the diaphragm goes down first and then the gasket. So now the little lever is going to go in. First of all, I'm putting the spring in, making it stand upright. So on this side there is a gasket, then the diaphragm, and then the plate. If I turn the engine over, I can actually see quite a lot of oil inside there. Everything looks very wet. So I'm going to take this handle off so I can get a proper look. There's a screw underneath this cover. There's another 2 screws here on either side of the spring. And on this side there is one underneath that plastic cover. And it looks like I have to take out this one as well. So now that those screws are taken out, I've also disconnected this wire here. I should be able to remove the whole handle. So this here is the side where you put the oil in, and that is where the oil is, where that wire goes in. That oil comes out there, and then the oil flows into this pipe, which goes to the oil pump. And the reason why I've put this wire in here is because I had a look in there and I noticed there's a little white plastic thing which I'm going to try and get out. And the oil filter is supposed to clip onto that little grommet on the end of that pipe. Before I put this oil tube back in place, I'm going to put a little bit of automotive silicone on there. That's just going to help prevent further oil leaks. And right now I'm going to take this cover off so I can have a look at the oil pump. Sorry, that's my bird sitting on my... And now to remove the 2 screws which hold the oil pump in place. The screw that I'm undoing now has got a little wire attached to it, and that is the earth wire for the on-off switch. This is the reason why I'm actually making this video. So now I can just lift that oil pump up, and you will see that that little part there is supposed to be attached to the bottom. So as you can see, I went online last week on Wednesday, and on Saturday this one arrived. Came all the way from Japan, although it says it is made in China, but it took like 3 days to get here. I was very happy with that. To me they look exactly the same. I can't really tell any difference. The main thing is that these parts over here, these parts have to be similar, because if you have a look at this, this is where the chain connects with those teeth over there, and there's another, with those teeth, and there are some smaller teeth over here, and they are supposed to fit into there. And the new one does as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the new oil pump in. I'll put the bottom tube on first. And the top screw with a wire underneath it. So first of all the washer goes on, then the worm drive, worm gear, and then the needle bearing, and then comes this part of the clutch, and the big washer, and lastly the clutch itself. I'm now going to give it a few light taps with a hammer. And now, before I put all the parts back together, I'm just going to put the cover on here and secure it with the 2 screws. So now I'm going to be putting the carburetor back in place. First thing I'm going to do is get the throttle linkage all connected. And now the 2 bolts have to go through the air filter housing. Then through the carburetor. I'm also going to reconnect the choke that has been adapted. So now I've put the spark plug in, putting the air filter on after I cleaned it, and the air filter cover, adding a little bit of fuel.